type of news that should be trending. And I'm realizing that South Africa, we are being scammed. We're being scammed every day of our lives. Can you imagine the governor announced, this should be everywhere, that the rand should be actually 7 rand to the dollar and not 18.50 to the dollar. Now, there is a measure that they use, which is the purchasing power parity that they use to measure how strong or how weak a currency is. So it's agreed that the rand should be 7 rand. Even the World Bank agrees that it should be around 7 rand or 7 rand 40 cents to the dollar, but it's sitting at 18.50. Now, when they are explaining this nonsense as to why we are buying things for more money and our bread is higher, everything is inflated because of this currency thing, we are told that investors don't have confidence in us, which I call it a fib. Because how is it that the Saudis are busy buying into Limpopo, Abasa Israel are buying Cape Town? Which investors are scared? They tell us that the country is not stable. The audacity to tell us that our president right now is sitting allegedly with 3 IDs. We did nothing. He went and took loans. We did nothing. He had money under his couch. We still didn't do anything. So we are very predictable, by the way, because we don't do anything. I think they even put Xanax in our water, because how are we this calm? Then again, the other reason is that there's corruption in the country. Says the very corrupt people that manipulated the rand, Abosana Bank, all these major banks, they manipulated the banks, the rand back then. Nothing happened to them. They're still operational. And then they want to tell us that the rand is at 18.50 because of corruption. Are you mad?
They're manipulating the rent. So what it simply means is that banks colluded and adjusted the price and the volume and the spread of rent. So what it simply means is that instead of the rent being 7 rand, they drove it to 18 rand, meaning we've been paying more than double the price of the products that we've been importing from USA. Meaning if you bought an iPhone for 20,000 bucks from USA, you actually paid more than double the price. You are supposed to should have paid maybe 8,000 bucks somewhere there. But because of this rent manipulation, you paid 20k. So this killed South African consumers because we were the ones who were paying high prices. However, it benefited those local elites in Cape Town. They have businesses in America. Those businesses, when they bring money into South Africa, when their profits come to South Africa, those profits are actually higher because the rent to dollar to rand is actually high. So rand is actually 18 rand instead of 7 rand. Meaning, if they decide to stop manipulating rand and they take it to original level, those guys, the money that they're going to receive from USA in profit is going to be of less value. So do you think they will stop it? Well, of course not. You just need to learn how to win when they win.
This whole rand manipulation saga is proof that African governments don't actually hold any power. The real power sits with the banks. They are a system that serves as a grip of colonialism on Africa's economy. They are the ones preventing progress and independence. You see, by controlling our currency and manipulating our currency, these people control us. When the rand is weakened, poverty grows, and as Africans, we are left starving and bickering amongst ourselves while the true perpetrators loot Africa successfully, quietly, and get away with it without facing a single consequence. But that's how modern colonialism works. They control us by manipulating the money that runs our nations. And what do we do about it? Until we build financial systems that answer to Africans, not London or New York, we will remain colonized.
Look, I'm not one to promote violence at any given time. But with the manipulation of a rand, guys, we need to stand up as a country. If Abantu would cause so much unrest over one man during looting, imagine into esinoyenza thina as a country, for thina sonke as a country. I don't know what it is, but kukho into enkulu that we need to do in order to shift things around. The cost of living is way too high. The price of bread, businesses are closing down. Kudala sava manipulation of rand, sithule sithe cwaka as a country. I know there's a national shutdown, the 17th of November. I'm hoping something will happen from Loyo Into, but we need to sit down. But le into we can never sleep on South Africans. We can never sleep on this shit. Asikwazi, masifukeni.
So you guys want to tell me that $1 should have been 7 rands? Do you know what that means? That means that this car should have been 355k, not 875. And this one should have been half the price. That's insane, brother. Not to mention cost of living, bro. Cost of living should have been cheaper. All of a sudden, after apartheid, rand started becoming weaker and weaker. So I guess after all, that was the price to pay for your freedom.
The rand is supposed to be at 7 rand, but the state of South Africa is not at 7 rand. Okay? Yeah, you see, the 7 rand is pointing towards the intrinsic strength. The intrinsic strength is basically how South Africa's production, their exports, their resources, and their GDP, how it's looking. That is looking great. The rand is doing a great job. It's pulling its weight, right? But now, the market value of the rand is at 17 because the market value is not dependent on just the production and the exports and the resources of the country. The market value is dependent on investor confidence, right? So investors are looking at South Africa and they're like, it is not stable to invest in South Africa. That's basically what this major gap between the market value and the monetary value is basically telling you. It's telling you that investors are still uncertain about how South Africa is.
We're not mad enough. As a country, and I think the biggest reason why people are not mad enough is because people just don't carve. And they don't carve because they think that this thing requires too much reading. Textbook. No so. A wise man named AJ next door said, Wena, opatela 600 randa for Hennessy. Pila, nkebe opatela 230. I will repeat. Wena, opatela 600 randa for Hennessy. Pila, nkebe opatela masepa 230. Let that sink in. Let it marinate. Iminde. Yeah, also a minder. You must remember that the reason we are in this mess is because Masepa Banga decided to Popeye. Yes, we speak in French today, nigga. We are Popeyes. I also realize we're not mad enough, bro.
There are only 2 fully privately owned reserve banks in the world. South Africa and the US. Those are the only fully privately owned reserve banks in the world. So if we are shocked that the big major banks were able to manipulate the rand when they have shares in the reserve bank, make it make sense. Also the fact that they are saying that this only happened between 2007 to 2013. I refuse to believe that. If you look at the assets that have been acquired by these big corporations, these big banks, within a specific period of time, compare the time when the rand was the strongest and the time when the rand is the weakest. It did not. I refuse to believe that it only happened within that period of time. South Africa has black-owned banks.
Did you know the estimated profit made by the 28 banks involved in the rand manipulation is estimated at between 5 to 10 trillion rands? Now you take that money distributed among South Africans, each person would get between 80 to 160,000 rand. Yes, per person. Now you take that money and you give it the buying power of 7 rand to the dollar. Sibovu.